that has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them. So let them live, let it lie, because carrying somebody else's burdens is the thing that should not be on your plate.
And I think we tend to pick up other people's burdens.
Oh yeah. What up? Welcome back, cousins. Strong, well-fed, outspoken. It's your girls. My name is Rusty.
And I'm Nell. What is going on, crew?
Yeah, we are excited, you guys, to talk about today's episode. I mean, I feel like we're always kind of excited with whatever episode we're discussing.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever come on and be like, I'm not excited to talk to
about this. Yeah, exactly.
Maybe someday. Then you'll know to pay attention.
Yeah, or you can like see it on our face if you ever watch along with us. But you know, today's episode really, when we were talking about ideas for today's pod, it was more along the lines of what really inspired me is some conversations I've been having with clients over the last like week. And I think it's because of the summer season. Some of it's related to like jobs, but I do think, you know, now that the summer season's out, there's like more social events happening. If you are in a position right now where you're feeling like, I have goals that I want to work on, but I also want to go to these social events. It's kind of a time period where we start to feel pressure to eat or go along with what other people are doing from the aspect of like fitting in.
And I think like, especially in the summer, people tend to show more skin in general. So we tend to start to hyperfixate on that. But there's also a lot more social stuff, right? I find in the winter, we hibernate a little bit more and our social stuff is more like maybe like holiday based, whereas in the summer it's like, yeah, come over, it's the weekend, right?
Yeah, definitely. And it kind of, I think for so many social activities are truly based around like alcohol, not even alcohol, but like drinks, even if it's mocktails, right? And food. And so I think for some people, what's interesting about eating to fit in is it looks and feels different than like eating to people please.
Yes, that's very true. Because when we're looking at like eating to people please, I think like eating around your relatives, right? Like grandma's special casserole or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But eating to fit in changes dependent on the social situation.
Yeah, truly. Like, think about it, you guys. Have you ever eaten something you didn't actually want? And the answer is probably yes. Like, I know I have.
Guilty for sure.
Right? But then think about like the aspect of why. Like, so whatever it was, did you eat something that you didn't actually want because everybody else was doing it or eating it? Was it because you were actually genuinely hungry? Was it because there was pressure, like, oh, I made this for you? Because that really is the difference. I think when we're like people pleasing eating, it comes from an aspect of there's like directly applied pressure that feels very like pointed towards us.
Yeah, I think when we're younger, we talk a lot about like peer pressure when it comes to less ideal choices, right? Like getting into trouble as a teenager. But there's a lot of peer pressure around food.
Yeah, there really, really is. Whenever I think about times in my life that I felt like peer pressure from eating, it has been, like I said, more pointed. Like it's somebody that's been like, oh, I made your favorite blank, or I made this for you, or have some of my, as they like hold it in front of you. There's this very direct sense of this person wants this expectation from me. Like we could literally write it out. Grandma wants me to eat blank. Susie wants me to eat blank, right? Whereas I think eating to fit in, if I'm being real with you guys, a lot of it is in our mind.
Oh, truly. Yeah, because I've kind of always labeled myself as like the adventurous eater. Like I love eating foods that I wouldn't typically eat, that I'm not typically exposed to especially when I travel. But it got to a point where it was like, but you have to try this. I was like, I do not want that. But I was still that, well, you know, you've said this about yourself.
Yes. Like it's a stigma, it's a label we've created about ourselves. And like, now we have to live up to it. I'm the easygoing one. I'm the one that like tries all these adventures. Or adventurous different foods, or I am adventurous with my food.
Or like, I'll finish your plate. I was always that person.
Yeah, absolutely. I know for me too, that when I was first really like shifting my identity from being like the fat friend, it was kind of like that. Like Rusty will take the leftovers, or Rusty always has snacks on her. And it was like starting to separate that, but also feeling like, do I no longer fit in here because my identity has changed so much, right?
Yeah, because I've always held this place in the group, right?
Yep. Exactly. I think eating to fit in a lot of the time as well, especially when we're talking about like work related situations, which was something that came up with a few of my clients this week, feeling as though we're in a conference room, it's not hundreds of people, there's like 10 of us, lunch is provided, and here I am whipping out my own food. It's very obvious that I'm not fitting in.
Yeah, I think
And
we automatically go like, people are going to think I'm better than them. Right. I
yes,
think that's a huge, huge fear that a lot of people have when we're
yeah,
packing our own food. And it's interesting as someone who essentially has to pack our own food now, that like, I'll die if I don't do
yeah,
this.
honestly, what do you
And that
mean?
was
Leave
such
it
an
up to
easy
somebody else.
switch, but we're doing
Yeah.
the exact same action.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, yeah. It's and this kind of goes back to our identity episode a few episodes ago as well. But
Mhm.
like at our core, we're really wired for connection. We want that, and I mean, even if you just look at it like our ancestries, right? For like literally thousands of years, belonging was a part of survival. Like you had to belong to a tribe. It's
Truly.
hardwired in us. So when we feel different from the group, whether it's our friend group or even like work group where you don't even hang out with these people, there's still an aspect of like feeling threatened if we feel different.
Yeah, because there's that pressure to fit in with wherever you are, especially in the workplace. I almost find it's worse in the workplace
Yes.
because those people sort of know you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, 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 exactly. And also, I think when it comes to work, there's always, not always, but there can often be like a sense of competition, even if it's, not openly talked about. And then we're not just talking about like a threat, right? Like by feeling different from our group, like we would in terms of a friend group, but now it feels threatening in terms of our job. Like, are they going to look down upon me? Will this reflect poorly upon me? Is my job at risk?
Yeah,
I
like I
think,
might even let eligible for future promotions, or is someone going to look at this moment as like, well, they weren't a team player,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. And the big problem is we often, I think, confuse being different with being rejected.
Hmm.
And that's really like an important thing to distinguish. Like, I know for me that, like, I'm trying to think back to when I first really noticed food was a social thing. Like, I think somewhere inside I always kind of recognized food was social as a kid growing up. But yeah, truly, I would say I don't think I realized how social food was until I worked in marketing.
Interesting. How old were you at that point?
Oh, I was 22.
Hmm.
But more so, you know what I'll say? Like food was social, like friend groups and stuff we got together. But from the aspect of like feeling threatened and in terms of fitting in, that's when I really actually noticed it. I don't think I really cared in friend groups ever. But working in marketing where there was so much schmoozing and so many like dinners out, it very much felt like, you needed to bond with these people, with these clients, and like being different felt like that could be a rejection, that could be a threat.
Yeah, because there are definitely certain careers that are very much like that, right? Like the wine and
Mhm.
dine, or the one I always think of is like a tragic event happens and it goes like, oh, thank the first responders, thank the doctors, thank the nurses, and then there's all this food in the break room and stuff like that. That's one
Yeah.
of the like social aspects that I think about when it comes to food. And it's the one that I see a lot of clients struggling with is like, well, if I don't eat that, I'm not allowing that gratitude to be given to me.
Yeah, 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 definitely. Like, was there ever a point for you that you felt weird for eating differently?
I think I don't really know because I don't know that even now I feel that I eat differently.
Hmm.
Like I'll make food that looks similar, that kind of stuff, or um, what I've prepped is similar to what's going to be there. But I do remember being, because my siblings are a lot younger than me. There's huge age gaps, and I remember taking my little brother to a birthday party, and being the adult. I mean, I was probably like 14 or something at the time, but just the fact that like I was eating more
Yeah,
compared to all of these other kids, that felt very, I don't know, uncomfortable, I guess is the term I
yes,
would use, right? Like,
yeah.
and that was just based solely on like, I was a teenager at the time, not 3 or 4.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think like looking back, my girlfriends and I were just talking about this last weekend. Being, let's say, like gluten free,
Hmm.
like as a kid and as a teen, not necessarily me, but even feeling that like awkwardness on behalf of a friend. I remember having a
Yes.
friend and she was the first person I ever knew that was gluten free. First of all, now looking back, I like feel for her so bad because there was like nothing gluten
Nothing.
free. Yeah, this poor girl. But also, it was like the first realization of like, oh, this is like awkwardly different because how she's eating is so different or it needs to be so accommodated for. And when you are that young as well, like you just don't understand things. So that was the first time I remember feeling awkward in terms of like somebody
Somebody
in the
else, like,
group.
yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think for me that was the seventh grade. I switched classrooms, and the girl I sat beside had a severe peanut allergy. And so that was a
Mm,
completely nut free zone. And I never had exposure to that. And you're right, it does almost like, I guess maybe when you're that young, it felt like secondhand embarrassment for her,
yes,
right?
yes, definitely. And I think that's actually what we carry then. We've probably all experienced moments like that, even if it's not around food. We've experienced awkward moments secondhand,
Oh,
um,
definitely.
secondhand embarrassment or whatever. And so
If
now,
you know me, you're probably experiencing it right now.
yeah, yeah, that's awesome. But it's that thought then that comes into our mind when we're thinking about us being the person that's doing something different, right?
Mhm.
Which in a way can actually be empowering when it comes to figuring out, is it the food or is it something deeper?
True.
Because when we realize it's something deeper, as is most of the case, or most of the time, we tend to take it out on the food. But like at this point, we can recognize the fear itself. It's not, the pizza or the drinks or the cake. The fear itself is like, what will they think of me? Or, are they going to judge me? Will they think I'm no fun? Will they think I'm obsessed? Will they think I'm better than them? And that's often what we need to address.
Yes. Yeah, because even now, I'm gluten free. I have no issues being gluten free. Like,
Mhm.
that's my life now. Celiac disease kind of runs the show. And I have a lot of people in my life that want to accommodate that. And
Yeah.
it feels bad because I have to literally interrogate them
Yeah.
about their cooking methods and things like that, because things they don't think about are
Yes.
things that I have to be very aware of. And so they've gone out of their way above and beyond to try and accommodate me, when really I'm just like, don't bother,
Yeah.
because now I'm making you feel bad and like I don't trust you.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, so I'm kind of at this verge right now as we've talked about, right? Like I'm gluten-free right now for the last 10 weeks and that might be something I do actually have to maintain long term. And even for me, I'm already starting to think in my head, what is Christmas going to look like? What is Easter going to look like? I'm going to the cottage with my family 2 weeks from now. And I was talking to my mom and stuff the other day and I was like, this is going to be interesting because there's going to be a lot of things. Like I would eat my own food separately before anyways, but there's going to be a lot more now. And already feel like thinking about those holiday events, I recognize that there's a part of me that feels honestly both frustrated slash mad and also bad because I can see how there's the temptation to be like, oh, I'm going to be putting people out by
Mhm.
making them either like change things or honestly frustrated because I'm like, I'm my own stuffing now or, whatever it is.
Mhm.
And I think that also gets hard because it's still the aspect of fitting in. Sometimes fitting in isn't even necessarily like worried about judgment, it's not wanting to put other people out.
Truly. And I think honestly at its core it comes down to more that than anything else,
Yeah. Yeah.
because it's fitting in. I don't feel that fitting in is about me as an individual. I
Mhm.
feel like fitting in is kind of chameleoning
Yeah.
myself into the group I'm with.
Yeah. Wanting to make other people still feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, because
Mhm.
I'll always say it loud and proud, like, here's me, take it or leave it. But the reality is I don't truly embody that, because I
Not all the
do
time.
want to constantly, yeah, make
Yeah.
other people comfortable.
Yeah, that's a very good point. There's power so much in being like, I'm confident in what I do. Like, it doesn't bother me if other people don't like it. But then there's something to be said for, I also just don't want to make other people feel bad. Um, but, there's a bigger cost, I think, to this because, like, every time we do that, it kind of then stems back to the people pleasing mentality,
Yeah,
right?
that trying to fit in. Are you eating to fit
Yeah,
in?
because it starts off initially about fear of like being rejected and like fear of what will they think of me? Are they going to judge me? Will they reject me? All that stuff. But then it actually turns into, well, I'm just going to abandon myself in order to make somebody else happy. And that is at its core people pleasing, right?
Hmm.
Because every time we do that, and this is something we talk about over and over again, no matter how it's applied, but every time you abandon yourself to fit in, you are telling yourself that message that other people's comfort truly matters more than what you want or your goals are. And
Yeah,
that's
because
painful.
truly, because every time you do an action to be the person you want to become, you're voting for yourself. But if
Yep,
you're doing the opposite of that, you're voting for everyone else. And
totally.
you lose yourself in that, right? Where and who are you at that point?
Like I know I spent so like I've talked about this like so many years going to events and leaving thinking like I like why did I do that? Or like
Mhm.
I didn't even want that. Like why can't I control myself?
Like
And
the
for
conversations in the car. Oh.
Yes, honestly. And there was a huge aspect of all of those things that was for sure, me not having a good relationship with food, me being out of control around food, my binge behavior, binge restrict cycles, absolutely. But there was also a huge aspect of that was like, I am in a better place around food, but like, still, why did I do that? Why did I eat that? I didn't even want that. And at that point, it wasn't about the binging or the restricting. It was about me betraying myself to fit in or feeling like this is what I have to do because I'm a part of the group, or other people are pressuring me, or I don't want to make anybody else feel uncomfortable, or I don't want to miss out even.
Because truly, like, have you ever been in a group setting
Mhm.
and audited what was on other people's plates?
Mm.
No, probably not,
No.
right?
I mean,
But we're
I
kind of putting that pressure on ourselves, like, oh, people are going to think things. How many people are
yeah.
out there looking at someone else's plate and being incredibly judgmental about it? And I'm sorry, if you are
Yeah.
that person, let's look in the mirror and do some self love,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
100%. And, like, the only time I really can think about myself auditing someone's plate is when I'm like, "That looks really good. Like, should I go
Yes.
get some of
Oh,
that?"
when food comes out of the restaurant, I'm like, dang, what is that?
Yeah, totally, totally,
But I've
especially
never
when
looked
it's
at someone's
sizzling.
selection and thought, am
Oh,
I better than you? Or what are you doing with your life? Like
yeah.
those aren't the kind of thoughts I have. I think, damn, that looks delicious.
Yeah, absolutely. Or like I'll like ask someone like, "Is that good? I was thinking about getting that," or whatever it is. But you're totally right. I've never thought, or likewise, like if I've been at a social event and somebody's not eating, I've never thought what's wrong with them, or I've
No,
never thought like, "Wow, that's awkward." Like they're making everybody else feel awkward. And
exactly.
I think that also though stems back to the confidence you have in yourself,
Mhm.
because when you are truly confident with yourself, you are not concerned with what other people are doing. You
If anything, yeah, if I see someone that's maybe not doing the typical group behavior, I'm impressed. I'm like
Yeah.
hella proud of that person.
Yeah. You get curious like as to why, but from like an empowerment perspective,
Yes.
like teach me your ways. Like what's going on? Like
Yeah,
you
or like,
are
look
you
at you
doing
being your
something
true self.
cool?
Yeah.
Yeah, tell me all the
Exactly.
things. Yeah, not from like a who do they think they are. And so, that's one thing I really want you guys to take with you is the story that you're telling yourself in regards to what people would think,
Hmm.
right? Ask yourself, if I was in this position and I was partaking in what everyone else was doing and somebody what wasn't, would I actually care that much? Would I think they were being rude? Would I think they were putting me out? If your answer is no, there's a very good chance nobody cares about what you're doing.
Hmm. And if your answer is yes, because that's a very real possibility, what is that
Mhm.
stemming from? Has
Yeah,
somebody said
definitely.
something to you in the past, or has there been an event that impacted you in that way? Because
Yep,
that's worth putting time and energy into looking into, right?
yep,
And doing some digging there. Because it happens, right? Sometimes somebody says something in passing and it sticks with you, right? And I
yeah,
think that's sometimes what gets us into trouble in these situations is somebody said something, they haven't thought about it in 25 years, but it lingers for you. You
mhm,
go, well, that one time. even if that wasn't the intention behind what they said.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, it's I think one of the bigger realizations that like, and it kind of comes back to what we talked about even with like going to the gym and worrying people are staring at you. Most people aren't paying nearly as much attention to you, to us, as we think they are, right? They're thinking about themselves. Think about this even from the perspective of what you're doing. You are so worried about what everybody else is thinking. They're doing the same thing. For
Truly, I
them,
mean, you get recognized in the gym occasionally, and
yeah.
even then, it is few and far between. And more often than not, those people don't even bother coming over to say hi.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Right?
legitimately though. Right? Like we are self-centered by nature. And this can actually play out to your favor because when you spend so much of your time thinking about yourself, you're not paying attention to other people.
Mm-hmm.
You're not analyzing someone else's plate or counting their drinks or tracking like their dessert. And as Nell just said, like if that person, that off person tends to be, that has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them. So let them live, let it lie because carrying somebody else's burdens is the thing that should not be on your plate.
And I think we tend to pick up other people's burdens,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
right? Like that's, I think, kind of one of those characteristics of human nature. And it's
Yeah.
one of those ones where I have to actively like, not my monkeys, not my circus,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
horsies, not my paddock.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So like a couple of tips I would say for you guys, if you're in a situation where you feel like you're like eating to fit in, one of the big things I would say is, awareness is huge, as you guys know, with like everything that we talk about, really, right? Um, Being in the moment with anything sounds fun in theory, but usually winds up leading to us feeling afterwards like, why did I do that?
Mhm.
So, slowing down in order to increase awareness is huge here. And you can even make this like a subconscious game because if you are somebody who finds that like you eat to fit in but then you accidentally overeat or you eat too quickly and that leads to overeating, like can you eat as slow as possible? Can you literally take the longest out of your group to finish your food? Can you notice, if anything, how slow other people are eating and try to match their speed?
Have you ever done that? Like, do you ever do that with Steph?
I actually, no, not with stuff. He eats so fast. Like, I never even have to worry
Right.
about it. I'm not, oh, like the games that the
Yeah, where it's
tournaments
like
we
trying to
have.
match my partner's speed or whatever.
Yeah, and the men are always so fast. No, I like being the like longest person to eat. I really like taking my time.
Honestly, it's better for your
Um,
digestion.
Oh yeah, it really is.
Right.
It really is. But like it allows you to be more aware. It allows you to be in the present moment. And here's the other thing, guys. Like when you are going to a social event, you are going to a social event. It's not called an eating event. It's a social event because the goal while you're there is to be social. It's not to eat and to drink. And this is a big problem. We confuse the two. We think that if there's an event and there's food involved, that is what the event is about. No, it's not. The event is about going and connecting, being there, or even if it's a work related lunch, your work is not just giving you a lunch to give you a lunch. They're giving you something while you are taking care of something else, whether it's a meeting or whatever. So understand what the point is of the actual event that you're going to like is for, and recognize that like people don't invite you places to watch you eat.
Could you
You know?
imagine just staring someone down?
I saw a TV episode once and it was like Christy Alley back in the day because she had lost like a bunch of weight and so they incorporated that into it was a comedy. And so they were like, how did you, she was playing herself. They're like, how do you, continue to keep the weight off? And she's like, I find joy in watching other people eat. And they're like, oh, that's so great. So the girl she was interviewing, all of a sudden somebody came in with like a dozen donuts. And then she was like, eat these. I need to watch you eat them.
Just like,
Yeah. And the girl was like, well, I don't like donuts. I don't. And she's like, you have to eat these so I can get joy through you. And it was like, imagine if that actually happened in the real world.
could you? That would be crazy.
It
But I
would be
think,
crazy.
like in social situations, like you're saying, the event is social, not food. But I think a lot of us have sort of that anxiety, right? Like
Mhm.
we talk about like liquid courage. Oh, I'll be fun when I get a few beverages in me, or I don't know what to say, so I'll just put food in my mouth. I
Yeah.
can guarantee you that people want to talk to you.
Yep.
You always have something to offer. No, I have never met a single person in my entire life where I thought, this person's giving me nothing.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and it's okay to be quiet too. That
Yeah.
was what I struggled with. Like, I'm like, oh, I have to be talking. Otherwise, what's the point? It's okay to be quiet. Trust your abilities, trust your skill set, trust who you are, because the people that like that are going to find you, even in a workplace.
Yeah, 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 definitely. So understanding what the event is actually for, recognize like if in your mentality you're like, oh, there's a barbecue coming up, there's a patio night, and you're feeling the pressure of like, I have to eat, I have to drink, I have to, have X, Y, and Z. Are you creating the idea of that event to be all about the food or the drinks? What is the event actually there for? Like, even think about what's your goal for the event. It's like maybe I haven't seen my girlfriends in a long time. I really want to just connect with them. Maybe it's like a social event and you're like, I actually want to meet somebody new. So my goal is to talk to 3 new people.
Or it's a work event. I'm going to network with these people because I know
Yep,
they work in the same industry as me.
yep, yep. I'm going to truly like be present to the moment in terms of what the event is actually about and not confuse myself into thinking that like the food or drinks is what makes this a successful event.
True. Remember I used to go to a lot of like Alberta recreation facility conferences, and there's
Yeah.
always a big trade show, free alcohol, every booth had some, whatever. And I used to end up pretty rough the next day. But
Yeah.
then I'd actually reduced my drinking quite drastically as time went on. And so one year I just made it my goal to talk to every person at a booth. I didn't take alcohol, I just talked to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I felt so much better the next day. And I had
Yeah.
actually made a lot of really valuable connections because those were people in the same industry, or suddenly I had a business card for something I actually needed, right? Instead of
Yeah.
getting blackout drunk and going, I don't know who I talked to, right?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. One thing, and this kind of like bleeds into the other tip I want to give you guys is, when you are there and there is, food or drinks or whatever that's available, dessert, and you are trying to decide, what you want. One question I really like to ask myself is like, would I still be eating this if nobody else was here? Would I actually even still want this? Would I want this dessert? Would I have even come to this restaurant? Because when I'm looking at a menu, I never think about I need to choose something off the menu just because we're at a place. Is there something I genuinely even want on this? Would I be considering any of these options if I wasn't here at this restaurant with these people, or if nobody else was here, I was by myself? If the answer is like no, I'm probably not getting it because what is the point?
Yeah, I call this my buffet rule because I used to be the get the plate, start putting stuff on the plate.
Yeah,
But now I do a loop. I
yeah,
see what's there and I choose the options that I genuinely want, right? And
yep.
that's very similar. Like, do you actually truly want this? Because I can tell you right now, I probably don't want chicken nuggets.
Yeah,
Nothing
yeah,
wrong with
yeah.
them, but I'm not going to waste my time with chicken nuggets when there's
Yep.
something else that is actually something I haven't had in a long time, or something I really enjoy, or something I can't cook myself because there are just some things. Thai
Yep.
yellow curry doesn't taste right when I make it.
Yeah, 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 for sure, for sure. And there's power actually, I think, even in that. And so that kind of brings me to point number two. When you do have an event going on and there's food or alcohol available, try and make decisions beforehand. Because again, being in the present moment usually does not feel as fun or have us making choices that result in us feeling good afterwards. That's really where a lot of the pressure can accumulate, right? Whereas when you have decided in advance what you want out of the event, what you want out of the food, a lot of the time too, I think what gets people hung up is the unexpected. Like you go to a place and all of a sudden they're passing out bread, right? And you're like, oh, I love free bread, right?
Yeah, like the
Right.
upsell. Do you also want this?
Yeah, 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 yeah. So like decide in advance, okay, if appetizers are a part of the event, am I going to have some? Okay, maybe yes if it's either this or this or this. If there is like chips and salsa, right? Am I going to have some? How much am I going to have? What is my cutoff point? If there's free bread, am I having one slice, no slices, two slices? What is my cutoff point? Decide in advance because also when you're social, it's really easy to lose focus and stop paying attention to how much you've already had. And before you know it, you're like, I've had 3 baskets of salsa and chips. It goes
Yeah,
really quick.
12 Olive Garden breadsticks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
honestly though, it happens really quick. And then likewise, am I having a main course? Am I sharing a main course? If so, again, what am I having? Or what are like 3 options I'm giving myself if it's a prefix menu for things that I will likely go towards?
Mhm.
Am I going to have alcohol? If so, how many drinks am I having? What am I comfortable with? Am I having dessert? A big thing with dessert is, you might decide like we're going to this place where like I absolutely love their cheesecake, right? Let's just say. So you're like, I never really go here. Like once a year, I am going to have dessert. Cool. You've decided that in advance. You know how that decision also impacts, or we can now figure out how that decision will also impact your other meals. So I know dessert's coming at the end. I don't want to put myself in a position where I'm like overly stuffed or just like overeating. So knowing I am going to have dessert, you know what? I'm actually not going to have an app this trip, or maybe I'm actually going to stop eating my main course a little bit earlier, even though I could have otherwise finished it and been fine, because I know that I do actually want dessert still.
Mhm. And when you're doing this like planning phase, I think it like I'm a very give it all to me at once so I can process it.
Yeah.
So like write it down, put it in a notes app, sit with it and think, is this feasible or is this something I feel like I'm restricted on or punishing myself by or overselling because it's this like I'm still not used to this like I'm going out, I have to treat myself, right? Because
Yeah.
that's the reality of it is I used to do that all the time. Oh, it's my one meal out a week, time to go overboard, right? And
Yes.
so I had to sit with it and go, is this a realistic plan for me? Because
Yeah.
it's easy to say, yeah, I'm going to drink,
Yep.
but how
Yep.
much, right? How is that going to impact me? 4 drinks before the meal, suddenly the meal hurts, right? A
Yeah.
beverage before the meal, and then maybe a beverage after with dessert feels very different.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And like, of all my years, right? Like, have you ever actually been met with somebody being like, oh, like, why aren't you eating what everybody else is eating?
Mm, yeah, there's one that sticks out in my mind, and it was
Yeah.
just a lunch hour at work. I was in the break room, everybody's having lunch, and I was eating, I think it was egg salad in like lettuce boats. I had made lettuce boats.
Mhm.
And someone goes, why aren't you eating bread? I could never. I
Yeah.
was like, because I actually like it this way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it was,
Yeah.
and it kind of caught me off guard because I wasn't actively trying to reduce calories. I wasn't like, oh, the fridge is that. Like there was nothing going on. I had genuinely selected that lunch because I had liked it. And I went, yeah, it's because I like it this way. Plot twist: the bread was probably doing me harm.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
But I
Always.
remember thinking, like, what an interesting perspective for you to
Yeah.
have.
Honestly.
But
Honestly.
that's how I thought about it. Like, that's a you problem.
Yeah, yeah. And like even like I know throughout the years I've definitely been asked questions at different points in my journey. And um at the beginning it was hard for me to answer because it does feel awkward because it's new.
Mhm.
Anything new that we do feels awkward, right? Like
Yeah, even
literally.
when you do a new phase of workouts in the gym, you've been going to the
Yeah.
gym your whole life. It still feels a little bit like Bambi on ice, right? You're still like, man, do I even know how to use this equipment still?
Totally. Yeah,
Right?
it's a skill. Like explaining yourself, let's be real, is a skill. It sounds very easy in theory, but explaining yourself from a place of confidence, but also I think like not automatically coming across as defensive because it's easy for us to like, especially if somebody has made a comment in the past, instantly get on the defense
Defensive.
mode.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a skill, right? So like just remember you guys, you don't have to explain yourself or over explain yourself or justify yourself. Like people are allowed to ask whatever they want and you are allowed to literally say things like no thanks or
Yeah.
I'm
Or I'm
good or
figuring it out. Or
yeah,
yeah,
I
I
just didn't feel
genuinely
like
like
it.
eating it this way.
Yeah, I'm full, maybe later. That looks great, but I'm good. Yeah, like you just said, I genuinely like eating it this way. You do not have to over explain or over justify what it is you're doing. And honestly, like when it comes to fitting in, something that I think is really important to ask yourself is like if somebody was asking you a question in a snarky way, it's one thing to be curious, it's another thing to be snarky. But if somebody was judging you, if somebody was like not in your mind, you're thinking this, like literally coming across as judging you, being snarky, getting all up in your business, do you even care to impress them? Do you even care to be friends with them?
Yeah, like, is
Is
that a
that
person that's
somebody?
important to you?
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Is that somebody that you even care to fit in with? Because it's kind of like that quote I love, like, um, I'm gonna forget it now. I always do on the spot.
She's
But
like, I love this quote,
yeah,
and
no,
it's
it's
gone.
it's a quote that says something like, I have no interest in the opinions of people whose lives I'm like don't want to
Hmm.
live. Or I have no interest in the opinions of people who have never accomplished what I want to accomplish. And it's like that's literally it though. Somebody who has, never taken care of themselves, somebody who complains all the time, somebody who's like always like in pain but never doing anything about it, and then comes towards you at a work function and is like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that for? Like, that's stupid. You don't need to do that. It's like, do you actually care what they have to say?
Yeah, one of my favorite, like, I don't want to say comeback, but like responses is, I don't have an answer that you're gonna like.
Yeah, honestly. Sometimes, no, truly, that is a great boundary point. Or like if somebody starts even going off about their own relationship with food and you feel pressured, you can literally be like, sir or ma'am or whatever, I'm probably not the person that you should be talking to about
Hmm.
this.
Yep.
Like that's literally it. Um, because yeah, no, that's literally it. Our goal is not to become somebody who like never eats cake or never goes to a social event and doesn't partake. The goal is to become somebody who chooses to partake because they genuinely want to, not because they're like scared of fitting in.
Yes, to partake in a way that serves you, your goals, and makes you feel confident in who you are, not trying to please someone else.
Yeah, yeah. So really I would say like last tip, like, if we were going to give you guys 3 tips is um to be okay being different.
Yeah.
It's a
That's what
skill.
makes the world a beautiful place. I
Yeah,
have never wanted, well, I shouldn't say that. I'll talk to anyone. But the best conversations, the best friendships, the best relationships I've ever had are with people that are different than me.
definitely.
I don't want a carbon copy of me. I kind of suck.
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine? Two of me is too much.
That's hilarious, man. I wouldn't want a carbon copy of me because I'd be like, bitch, there can only be one.
Exactly. Like, dare to
Like,
be different.
yeah, truly. And I think that's probably one of the most powerful things we can learn, right? Is that you can belong without behaving exactly like everybody else, right?
I think
Like,
you should belong without behaving like everyone else,
yep,
because if that's your version of belonging, at some point it's not going to feel like belonging anymore, right?
definitely.
Because at some point it's not going to feel like you are genuinely being valued for you.
Yep. Yep. Let other people order differently. Let them eat differently. Let them have different goals. Let them want different things and still love them. And understand that that is all of those things are still applicable to you. You can order differently, drink differently, eat differently, have different goals, and you will still be loved.
Mhm.
We know this logically. Emotionally, I know we struggle with it. And so, one of the best ways you can actively prove it to yourself is by following through with it and ordering differently, drinking differently, doing differently.
Yeah, like I like to say, like, use your logic, don't use your feelings.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I used to be a lead with the feelings, right? And that's honestly what got me
Totally.
into a lot of trouble. And it wasn't until I realized that, oh, the logic actually leads to the feelings I want to be feeling.
Yeah.
I was stuck. I was struggling.
Oh yeah, yeah. As we said before, feelings are fickle. You can feel a certain way and still act differently as well. You can feel in your mind like, oh, this feels awkward right now. Everybody's eating and I'm not, and still act differently. And that is where you will, like in real time, prove to yourself that my feelings are not actually facts.
It's true. Even when we're doing client check-ins, I always look at the stats first because there's no
Yeah.
feelings there. Because
Yeah.
we feel things differently week by week by week. And I'm going to go into helping you navigate that after I've seen the facts, the logic, right? Because maybe it's just a bad week and you actually had huge progress and didn't see it, right?
Yep.
Or maybe you
Yep.
thought you did great and then the stats say something different. Like, there's a disconnect here and we need to talk about that.
Yep, yep. So think about this. I want to leave you guys with a question to take with you for your week and write it somewhere. Put it on your desk, on your fridge, in your phone, in your car. especially as the summer season is here and there's so many events, fun, family, work related, whatever it is, what would your relationship with food look like if you stopped making decisions based on what everyone else was doing?
Okay. That's a hard question. Sit with it. Think on it.
Yeah.
Change your mind. You're allowed to have a process about this. It's not just going to be like, oh, here's my answer. I know I wouldn't, and I've been doing this a long time.
Totally. Yep. What would your relationship with food look like if you stopped making decisions based on what everyone else was doing? Journal it, think about it, pray on it, meditate on it, get very real with yourself, like visualize who you would be if you stopped caring, because that is truly what you want to step into. And that is what you can now work backwards from to become. And if that's something that you guys need help with, as we said, this whole podcast episode came from conversations we've been having with clients this week, things that we've been helping them specifically work through, how they're going to take on different events, no matter what type of setting that they're in. And that's something that we can help you guys do as well. So there is a link in the show notes below that you guys can click to hop on a call with us. We can chat more about where you're at, how we're going to make sure that you truly become the most confident version of yourself, not just in the gym and in your body, but when you are in these social settings as well.
Yeah, because you can have your cake and eat it too, if that's truly what you want. Not because someone else told you had to have it.
Definitely. So if you guys have any questions, please drop them in the question box below or shoot us a message on Instagram. Both our social media handles are below. And if you guys haven't yet, please consider leaving us a 5-star review. It helps us out huge. Share this with a friend, post it to your social media.
Tag us in it if you're sharing it. We love to see, what you guys are getting up to.
Yeah. And until next week, we will talk to you guys then. Have a beautiful week.